You give them an inch and they'll take a mile. The need for professional reviewers or critics in entertainment, just like every other industry, was to protect consumers from spending their hard-earned cash on worthless products and services. But as you can see these days, they've moved away from this goal and now play a major role in social engineering. They no longer serve their purpose and instead are now in the industry to try to tell us what they think is best for us and how we should think going forward. They act as glorified salesmen working for those drafting the agenda that's passed down to them, and I'll expand on this later on. Music is subjective, and the greatest rock song to someone who hates the rock genre is garbage. Even within a genre, there are subgenres, and depending on who you ask, it moves from great to garbage, even within a genre. But then we have a professional critic, a jack of all trades, master of none, that tries to tell us why we should pick one album over the other, and in Eminem's case, they can't even make up their minds about the quality of his albums, which seems to change after a couple of years has passed. But then again, people take the opinions of these critics as facts, especially when it aligns with their opinion. Eminem's first 3 albums weren't considered to be great albums when you take into consideration the aggregate professional critical scores. But today, these same publications claim those albums are now classics, and they now take points off his more recent albums because they do not match up to those first 3 masterpieces, right? Wrong, because those albums weren't rated highly to begin with, but like I said in my last video, they think we have the attention span of a goldfish. Eminem's Marshall Mathers LP, which even critics today will tell you is one of the greatest hip-hop albums of all time, couldn't even make it to an 8 over 10 based on the aggregate critical reviews from so-called professionals. So collectively, according to critics, Eminem doesn't have a single album or project that's an 8 over 10. Now, a few rappers that come to mind with projects rated higher than Eminem's highest include Cardi B with just 1 album, and is rated higher than any of Eminem's projects by critics, and Travis Scott with Astro World. These 2 examples I mentioned are also higher than anything the likes of J. Cole, Drake, and Lil Wayne have produced, which just shows you how you shouldn't put much weight into the opinion of someone else just because they claim to be professional critics. People favor one genre over another. A professional reviewer who usually prefers electronic over hip-hop will rate the best electronic has to offer higher than the best hip-hop has to offer, but claim to not be biased. And guess who all come out the closet as soon as Eminem releases an album? All the part-time reviewers. Speaking of agendas, Cardi B released her album just in time for the lamestream media's push for women, ethnic minorities, and minorities, and Cardi even won the Grammy for Best Rap Album, I believe because of this push, since she was in a category with albums that performed better commercially and critically than hers. Also notice how Tyler's critical reception and popularity went up after the mainstream found out that he was from a 72 in Goblin, 70 in Wolf, 69 in Cherry Bomb, to 84 with Flower Boy and 84 with IGOR. So as an Eminem fan, do not pay attention to critics as they've got it all wrong so far compared to consumers that can't have enough. And don't let no one tell you which album to prefer because critics say so. Those jack of all trades don't have the time to decipher most of the bars in an Eminem album. And I remember when Revival came out, a professional reviewer that made it to Metacritic ratings considered the album bad after Framed contained lyrics he found offensive. Now, this is a reviewer hired to tell us about the quality of an Eminem album, a reviewer triggered by lyrics like he was born the day Revival released. So what are your thoughts on this? Tell us below, subscribe if you haven't, and see you on the next one.